child's ability does not equal a child's worth. A child's ability does not equal a child's worth. We have had this even within our own church, and this is becoming something with the testing that we're able to do before when a lady is pregnant. In those places, we are able to test so many things now, it's almost dangerous. I'm all for tests and all that stuff, but I don't want to know unless you can fix it. 90% of babies that are found out to have Down syndrome in the womb, 90% are aborted. And I declare to you that a child's ability is not equal to a child's worth. It's not. And I submit to you that the special needs kids that God has on this planet are used more of God than most of the quote-unquote normal kids. They get to our hearts, do they not? And their value and their ability are completely different. That's not the way that we put this together. Now, here's how this has happened. We live in such a parental achievatron society. We want Rhodes Scholar, star quarterback. And we have so done that now we've backed it up into the womb. That when we find out that we don't have a star quarterback Rhodes Scholar, we say, well, then we're not going to have the baby. Who in the world do we think we are? And so we've backed up this achievatron all the way into the womb so that the clay speaks out to the potter. And a child's worth and a child's ability are not equal. As I sat with my face down in my Bible, with my back aching, couldn't move over, walk around, roll over, my worth and my ability are not the same thing, and I had to rest in the Lord. Lord, I'm valuable in you. I'm trustworthy in you. So we need to all hear that as adults as well, that our value and our ability is not the same thing. Just last week, folks came down front and they said, our son and daughter-in-law are struggling with keeping this pregnancy because they found out that the baby is going to die very quickly after the birth. And I said, you tell them they keep that pregnancy going and you let God be God. Have that baby. I've had a few friends that have had babies that they said they're going to die basically on about breath 4. And they stood strong on their principles, and they had that child, and that was hard on mama, and that was hard on daddy. But to have that baby and let God do what God wants, and it's hard, but we take it all the way, and we say yes. And now looking into these things of saying, well, my child may have something, and for that reason we're going to terminate the pregnancy, is to equate a child's worth and a child's ability together. In our very church, there's one family, there's others, but there's one named the Skaggs. I want to show you a picture of the Skaggs, and this is their family up here on the screen. And Emily was just right over here to my left singing praises, leading us in worship. You might recognize her, and Joel, her husband, sweet little daughter. And then there's Seth, little guy Seth there. I love Seth. Seth and I are buddies. He's a good man. There's another picture of Seth just playing, sweet little dude. And we went to the hospital when Emily gave birth, right after that, a couple days after, and my wife and I and another couple from our church, we went to visit them, and we sat there on those beds in the hospital, that bed in the hospital, and we cried. And we didn't cry grieving a birth. We cried the loss of adult expectations. And that's appropriate. I understand that. That's nothing to be shamed over. But in those tears, we said, God's going to do some great things. And God's going to do some amazing things. And we're proud of you. We're proud of you and all that you've done and sticking through with this. And this could be a hard parenting road. Parenting's hard enough. This could be a little bit harder. God's going to use Seth for his glory. Well, Seth, in this time that he's been alive since then, since 2008, May 2nd, his little left ear has been deaf. And they said, well, it's a birth defect that he's got a deaf ear. And that deaf ear, they said, well, we're just going to start praying. And so they started praying. And for the last 6 months, they've been praying. They told a couple friends that Seth had a deaf ear. And one little girl said, well, Mommy, we need to pray for Seth's miracle ear. So they started calling it the miracle ear. January 5th, they went in to get the ears examined again. And Emily said to the doctor, I want you to examine both ears. I know that y'all said it's a birth defect and it'll never happen and he'll never hear, but I want you to examine both ears. And they started examining that left ear. And don't you know, Seth passed every single test. And God did a miracle. God did a miracle so that maybe even at this moment, thousands of people could hear about this little guy named Seth and what God can do with a life.